remember when hard work still used to pay. Coulda buy a yard, raise the youth and live okay. But then the bankers get greedy, flip up the game. Gold standard mash up, it never be the same. Boom economy, government never want wait. Them spend pan borrowed money, drop the interest rate. Central bank printing, money start lose weight. Them convinced no bill would I ever have to get paid. Me believe it when me see it. Me sure me not go miss it. It make me want live it, but only if it really legit. No recession, no cry. No recession, no cry. Change up the definition. So slide. No recession, no cry. Life did sweet, people get rich, time feel nice. Living big pandate, not thinking about the price. No turning back, default and knock pound we gate. But the genie up, too late feel like that fate. 50 years past, need big job just to survive. Politicians still a chat like all things alive. Job market sinking, but them say it alright. Them twist up the data, hide the truth out of sight. Me believe it when me see it. Me sure me not go miss it. It make me want live it, but only if it really legit. No recession, no cry. No recession, no cry. Change up the definition. So slide. No recession, no cry. You them lost, can't build no family. Population drop, this your madness up your tragedy. The rich invest in asset, poor man stuck on rent. Leaders push them agenda, but no ask where the money went. Industry done goes down, Alfie carbon name. Yet earth still a spin while people play the blame game. Me believe it when me see it. Numbers don't match after the fact, them fix reports and cover tracks. Camel finance me real brother, one we truly never deserve. Bless up him, the guide the future we are try preserve. No recession, no lie, Camel Crew no need to try. Always the head of the game, no concessions till we die.
Turn this on. You hear me now? It's like an IRS Camel, and welcome to my bomber clot stream. Oh dear. Thank you all for being here. All on. Me, I feel, man. Let me stick this one on. There we go. Okay, so welcome to the stream. Shout out Gizmo for the reggae. We love it. We love it. If someone can let me know you can hear me, that will save me going insane as always. Thank you very much, Chris. Straight on it. Yeah. So welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it as always. Yeah, Wagwan, Papsi, Wagwan. Nagwan, you know, Nagwan. Anyway, I'm going to do what I always do, which is quickly outline my idea. And then we'll do a Q&A. We'll look at some charts, see what is going on. And then we'll just kill some time, right? We'll do a Q&A. We'll hang out, relax until the data comes out. And then, of course, when the data comes out, we'll quickly have a look at that, see the initial market reaction. And then I think I'm going to go for a dog walk, a second dog walk of the day, because I took a nasty slam yesterday in the gym and my neck is a bit mash up. So yeah, I'm going to go and have a nice walk and hopefully that'll straighten my neck out. Other than that, Everyone's saying loud and clear. Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, let's get into this. So, in case you didn't know, and you probably all do by now, but the idea is very simple. As always, I'm on the far left-hand side of the bell curve, right? And I'm saying anything you do to M2 shows up in the CPI with a lag, okay? And I'm also saying because we went down here into negative territory, eventually this will slip into negative territory as well. This is the CPI down the bottom. So that's as left curve as it gets, if we're being honest. We've been using Trueflation and continue to use Trueflation to gauge the overall trend. As I often say, I think investors have a bad habit of kind of looking at the hard right edge here and saying, well, that's a bottom in inflation, or that's an uptrend or sticky inflation. But I think we have to look at the wider context. Until we get new actual higher highs, then I still maintain the real risk here is disinflation. And we got the PPI data come out. All I had to say was lol, because it was even more deflationary than I thought it would be. I mean, this is outright deflation, negative prints. This is not disinflation, meaning, you know, decreasing prints. This is negative prints, meaning it's actually in deflation already in some areas. So, yeah, I mean, I don't even know what to say about that, really. That's even more deflationary than I was expecting. I don't think we're going to see true asset price deflation until kind of the middle of next year. But overall, the message is still very much that I believe the trend will be in this down and sideways kind of manner. I do believe, of course, there'll be counter trend wobbles along the way. Nothing moves in straight lines. But overall, we are going to continue it to be in disinflation for a while. And that's still the base case, right? So does it really matter what these prints are if they're a bit wobbly in the meantime? No, there's going to be a few wobbles along the way. But overall, I still maintain this call is correct until invalidated, right? And until such time as we print new significant higher highs, then I can't say this thing is invalidated. Now, what else is there to talk about? There's the rate cuts, okay? Notice how even with deflationary PPI prints yesterday, rate cuts don't even flinch. Right, like this didn't reprice massively. I saw a bunch of people online talking about how, oh, this is it, they're going to cut a whole 1% now and this kind of thing, and you know, this cements 50 basis points. But as always, tell that to the bond market, right? And what we really mean by that is it's the bond market that determines rates. The bond market in aggregate has currently decided to price in a 25 basis point cut with an outside chance, although very, very slim, of seeing a 50 basis point cut. So I really don't think today's print is going to make this move much. I mean, I don't think many people were calling for deflation yesterday for PPI, right? And if we do a compare here, you'll notice that, I mean, we hardly moved, right? With less than a percentage point of change in the day. So deflation in the PPI barely shifts this around at all. And thus, I don't really think what we're going to see today is going to move the rate cut probabilities around much either. We can quickly look here to see that we are forecasting 2.9%. The previous readout was 2.7. I think I've put it in here. We're probably going to see 2.8, I would suspect. We'll see, right? We'll see how that goes. And the rest of this is kind of, as long as it's not wildly different, right? Then it's kind of already baked into the cake at this point, I would think. When I say wildly different, I'm talking like a full percentage point or close to, you know, 0.8, 0.9, 1 full percentage point difference. And then I think we can say that's wildly different. And then I would expect these to bounce around a lot. But outside of that, then I think this is pretty much all baked into the cake. I don't think much is going to change. And the markets are undeniably extremely strong at the moment, right? And when we look at the stock market, you know, it's difficult to even see cycle lows in here. Right, there's no real true cycle lows even showing up. I mean, you can go back and point to them after the fact, but they don't look anything like a typical cycle low on the way up. And that's probably because we're in this fourth angle, right? The fourth or phase 4 of the hyperwave. So again, this is unusual strength. And I have been saying this a few times of late that no one else seems to be acknowledging this. It's almost like people think this is normal or it's not impressive to a lot of people. Maybe it's because a lot of people are maybe focused elsewhere. Maybe they're focused on Bitcoin or crypto or whatever. And of course, compared to some altcoin pump or whatever, this is not much. But in my entire career, I've only seen this once, and I've not, even then, it wasn't as strong as this. So yeah, I think this is pretty unusual. And I think the problem with this is it's distracting, right? It feels good. It's easy to be like, well, it's a new paradigm, up only, no more cycles. But the longer this goes on for, the more spectacularly it's going to violate into that 4-year cycle. It's just, you know, a law of the universe, so to speak, right? Every action has an equal and opposing reaction. And if this thing is going to go straight up, then you better believe it's going to come down pretty quick as well eventually, right? So that's of note. The strength is definitely strong, and we are kind of getting later in the weekly cycle. I mean, this should be daily cycle 4 now to reset a weekly cycle. We'll see, right? We'll see. But I don't really think anything that can happen to the inflation print today is going to change this for a little while longer, at least. Over in the world of gold, gold is in the middle of what I believe is a lockout rally. The challenge here is I'm inclined to look at this fractal and say this is what is happening, okay? But we have to be honest, right? Fractals are the crayons of TA, and this one has tracked pretty well, okay? Pretty much the whole way up. This thing tracked amazingly well, apart from this consolidation here, which took a little longer. And it seems to be tracking well for now. But it's a dangerous game to kind of say, okay, well, the target, therefore, is 6,600, right? I think that's a dangerous game. And in reality, I think we'd be much smarter to acknowledge that this final wave can literally be done any moment now, okay? And whilst it would be nice to get it up into 6K or whatever, if it topped out at right here, right now, or even at 3,800, I would not at all be surprised, right? I really wouldn't. So we've just got to kind of stay on trend here as best we can. It'd be nice to see silver really get that breakout above 50. It's still not done it quite yet, but I think that probably is coming soon enough. Again, from a cycle perspective, you know, we're kind of in these blow off top moments, right? Which means that that might be all we're getting at the moment for a cycle low, a quick decline and off we go again. Same is true of silver again. So kind of early in these cycles tells us to be open to more upside regardless of the print. And then Bitcoin. You know, there's still 2 possible counts here. I still like mine just because it's not invalidated. We need to see a new low before I can invalidate this. And if this count is still correct and does not get invalidated by printing a new lower low today, tomorrow, whenever, then we kind of have to accept that this is pretty early in a 60-day cycle, and we should, therefore, be on our way to new highs again. So we'll see if we get that. Of course, the alternate count, which I think is what Bob Lucas favors. Oh, sorry if I just deafened you. I think I punched the microphone by accident. Yeah, the alternate count is that we should move this to here, right? And therefore, this is just a half cycle low bounce and will soon resolve to one final lower low early October. And that should reset the weekly cycle. And then realistically, we can just go from there into the final high. So it doesn't really change much. I think I would actually rather Bob's count here because I'd like to get the weekly cycle low in so that we've got the rest of the year to look forward to a big left translated blow off top weekly cycle. I would rather that because otherwise we're going to have to do what I suspected we would do, which is, you know, 1 daily cycle, 2, maybe 3 and an inversion to give us a weekly cycle. By the time that weekly cycle shows up, we're going to be in November, perhaps around there. And then there's not a great deal of time to get that final push to the upside, right? So I think this would actually be more difficult to deal with than Bob's count, which is why I'd almost rather see this thing roll over one final time. But at least for now, that's a cycle low. It's in the window. I don't see much wrong with this count, and it's not invalidated until we print a new lower low. And again, in the worst case scenario, even if it does fail the cycle here, well, then we just get behind that final long one final time and dump the rest into the 4-year cycle. I'm sure that's not going to be a popular idea at the time. I'll say that as well. Okay, I'm seeing more and more people talking about Q1 tops or no more bear market or whatever. But frankly, that's how I want it. I want people to kind of be mad at me for selling when I sell. I don't want people to be cheering it on and jumping up and down and saying they're max short. You know, it should be painful. You should be a lonely seller if it really is the top. So we'll see, right? I don't want to get too far ahead of myself there, but so far so good, right? In theory, we're early in the cycle, or there's one final lower low, and we'll figure that out in the next few days. One thing that does give me a bit of confidence here is a bunch of these crypto stocks are really starting to push now, right? Riot's on its way up. Wolf was on its way up. That was another one that is behaving as expected, right? So this kind of makes me think the cycle in Bitcoin is correct, this right here. And maybe we're just going to see one big kind of 10K candle show up any day now. We'll find out, right? But that's where the cycles are. We should probably look at the bond yields. I mean, thinking about a breakdown here, wouldn't be surprised if we got a pop up first and then go down. But they're moving in the right direction, aren't they? So that's pretty much all there is to say in terms of the charts. I will have a look at some comments now. Whoops, what have I done? Yeah, so if anyone's got anything to say, fire away. Oh my goodness, I can see a whole heap of things to deal with. Let's go and do that first. Chris coming in with €5. Thank you, brother. Can we have daily updates in top altcoin performers? I don't know about daily, if I'm being honest, but I will think about covering them slightly more than I have been. Is the XRP DC set daily cycle? Is that what you mean? Oh, it's just there actually, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, it seems to be confirmed it's breaking out, right? So this indicator has actually been extremely good at picking these lows, which is weird because this asset trades extremely weird, doesn't it? It just kind of pumps and does nothing for a while. But yeah, so there's that. Let's have a look at ETH. We'll run through a few of these major ones, shall we, whilst we're here. I mean, hanging around the prior highs, isn't it? So we'll see. Like, I think it probably has one final leg up into its final fifth. I would think. That would make sense. What about Sol? I mean, creeping up as well, right? Creeping up kind of as expected. And Sui, is that another one? See, I barely even know which altcoins are in the top 10 or whatever. But I know this one's done very well. What was the other one you said? BNB, yeah. Not one I ever look at really, but we can pull that up for sure. I mean, it's through, isn't it? So it kind of looks, to me at least, like this is probably what's coming next for Ethereum. Maybe this is leading and Ethereum will go next. And then, you know, 1, 2, 3. This is third angle territory, right? So that can go on for a while longer. I don't know how high it would go, but something like this, third angle breakdown, usually a pretty good spot to lighten up. What else? Stroke it with the charts. Your favorite. Yeah, thanks, Christos. What else? Hi, Camel. Do you think this is the what? Sorry. Do you think that this is the last weekly high? Yeah, I think I do. Once this weekly low is in, then I'm looking for a left translation, and that should be it for this 4-year cycle, I think. In stocks, you've been counting it as since April 7th weekly cycle low, a 33-day shorter cycle followed by a 47-day longer cycle that harmonizes back to 40-day, giving us average the next daily cycle low around the 29th. Thoughts? Yeah, let's have a look. So you're saying since the weekly cycle low down here, we have gone 33 days to a shorter cycle. It's about there. Yep, that's what I have. And then 47 to a longer cycle. I see. Yeah, it could easily be that. Actually, that does look pretty good, doesn't it? That looks far more reasonable here. And then that harmonizes out. Yeah, nice read. So then that would put the next daily cycle... Wait, where is it? Something like this. 29th of September. And you know what that would align with as well? Also, well done. This is, I should have seen this and I didn't. So well done. This is probably right, I would think. That solves a lot of questions in my head. And then, yeah, that would bring us into, if this is the daily cycle for Bitcoin, like Bob's suggesting, you know, that would bring us, if it was day 58 or something, or 57, then they would be synced up, right? Ready for that final push into Christmas time. So yeah, it is probably that. So well done. Well done. I definitely should have seen that. Can I show us how you draw the angles on IREN? Yes. Thank you for the $2. Go back to live chat. Like this. I got one going all the way back to the 4-year cycle low. 2 in here, 3 in here, and I reckon this is 4 now. Scroll up a bit, see what's going on. How are we doing for time? Okay, got about 25 minutes. What's my opinion on Nvidia? No strong opinion, really. Gold and silver miners still pushing up. Is that a sign gold will too? Yeah, that's been the idea, hasn't it? Because these are pushing up, they're probably leading. And that was the idea for a while. And then only just recently this seems to have been validated in the last week or so because gold has started to push up. And so that's kind of what I've been expecting for Bitcoin. It's like the miners and stocks and that pushing up. So maybe that's what's coming next for Bitcoin, right? Nice big push. And you think about it, if we go back here, you know, just a candle like that, one of these big green candles, or like this, or like this here, these 2 candles, that will be enough to reignite animal spirits because sentiment shifts. Remember, just here, it's no more 4-year cycles, no more bear markets, no more drawdowns, right? And then here it's, oh, it's topped, it's the same fractal as 21 cycle, right? And that was the top and we all missed it or whatever, back to, I don't know, 35k, right? And then, yeah, 2 big green candles to be back up here. And again, we would all swung around to no more 4-year cycles, no more bear markets. So yeah, sentiment shifts on a dime in this space. It would not at all surprise me if we see something like that. And then we'd be able to look back at the crypto stocks, wouldn't we, and the miners, and say with hindsight, well, yeah, that was obvious. They showed us what was coming, right? So yeah, I think that would be logical. Can we get a teaser for the upcoming TLT trade? Yeah, there's not much to say. It's actually quite simple, I think. Here's TLT. I think it's found a daily cycle low and is about to left translate and fail into the weekly cycle, which should also be the 7.5-ish year. I see people call it the 7 to 8 year cycle. I like the 7.5 year cycle. I don't know, but yeah, I think this is what's coming. Something like this. Maybe I should draw it from here, right? But I kind of would like to see these lows swept. That's why I've got it here. I'm not not really interested in what the price is. It's just the time. But I think it should be about to left translate fail. See how this sharply reverses into a weekly cycle low. I would think something like that's coming. And then, as I was saying, I can't remember who I was saying this to, either the Slice Crew or the members, but I think this is a bit too ambitious in terms of how steep this angle is, right? So this kind of suggests that we're going to kind of blast off out of this low, and I don't think we are. I think what's more likely to happen here is, if I zoom out a little bit, it probably will look a bit more like this. So the first bit's right into the weekly cycle low, and then I'm maybe thinking it will do something like this. And then all of a sudden we'll get to deflation and people will work it out, and then it will just moon. That's kind of what I'm thinking is going to happen. But we'll see, right? We'll see. Either way, I expect it to truly find a proper bottom, a sustainable low, and reverse here over the coming months. And I would think I'd probably hold it somewhere in the region of 12 to 18 months total. And that's pretty much it. So not super complex. Can we check what the indicator is on Tau? I guess so. Tau. What is it? Is this bit tensor or whatever? It says daily cycle low here. So make of that what you will. Oh, I saved a link actually. Let me show you this. Ben's been asking me to go through this to show you this cool thing. I don't know where it is. Live stream thing. Is it that? I think it could be this. Yeah, so in the members hub for the indicator, people have been kind of finding new and fancy ways to use this thing. And one of the cool features or cool new ways of using this thing is to invert the chart and let it, instead of find cycle lows, find the tops. So that's pretty cool, right? And there's all kinds of craziness going on in here. So if you're a user of the indicator but you're not throwing ideas around in here, then consider doing that, because that will actually help us as well to make the product better and better over time. You're welcome, Gio. You're more than welcome. Do you a chart showing yearly cycles for oil? Oh, people have been asking me to cover oil and I keep forgetting. So we'll do that here. There's not much to say about it apart from this, to me, just confirms my idea about disinflation and ultimately deflation. I believe this thing is going to have a big spill into its major kind of 4-year cycle low around the same time as the stocks and everything else. They're all pretty synced up. And then I think we've got a big inflation trade coming out of that QE bomb and, you know, probably triple digit oil, which is a nice trade off the lows. But that's kind of all I have to say. I just think it's this. Am I interested in trading the short side? No, not really, because even if it goes all the way down here, which, you know, is kind of, that's not to be sneezed at, but what's more appealing, right? This. Have a look at that. Store that to your memory, right? Or this. Because to me, this is the kind of thing that I'm more interested in, right? So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. And also that short, even though it's quite a lot of points, it's going to take a long time to kind of chop around and not much is going to happen. Be expensive to hold. I'd much rather, I don't mind paying the fees to hold it for a long time, but if I'm going to, I want to be rewarded for that with a big push. So that's oil. Nat gas, I think, is practically the same thing, to be honest. And what I mean by that is, when this thing broke out, a lot of people were like, oh, should we be long nat gas here? And I actually did a pretty good job of saying I think this is going to be a head fake and just to watch for that to happen. And so far it's on its way down here, right? So again, similar deal, probably deflation, not going to be good for assets, global recession, if that's true, not going to be good for these kind of assets. And therefore we get a major swing low sometime late 26, right? This will probably need shoving over because that's predicting October of this year. So it'll probably end up looking more like this in terms of time, okay? But again, out of the QE bomb, commodities to the moon, and therefore big trade. And again, like, people are quick to say, why don't you short it from here, Camel? Well, I could, right? Could do this. But I think the better option is this. Personally, that's what I think. That's more my kind of style, more my kind of trade. Set and forget, let the stop do the worrying, come back in a few years and hopefully enjoy the gains, right? So, same stuff, different cycle. And for what it's worth, I should probably say this. I think pretty much what I've said about oil and nat gas, you can just copy and paste that entire analysis to practically any commodity, right? I think pretty much all of them are not going to do very well in the next 12 months, and then all of them are going to go to the absolute moon and beyond because of the inflation trade, because I'm calling for record QE and that kind of thing. So I think they're just going to take it in turns, sending, to be honest. There is a stock, Ulster. Okay. Never heard of it. Does look pretty good, but I don't know if I'd want to chase it here. Nice range break though, and clear area on the chart to manage risk around. What do I think the chances that Bitcoin will fall back to 43k? Yeah, it could do. I think that's a bit low, but it really depends on a lot of things. I mean, we can get there. We can get there and lose a lot of hash power, right? But we can't really get there and keep all our hash power. So, is that a €50 donation? What did I do to deserve that? Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay. I'm incredibly humbled, actually. Thank you. Let's read this. Camel is the man. Thank you for all you do. Glad to be a level 3 member. Thank you, Satoshi. New member here. Did I understand correctly? One more weekly cycle and then the market likely tops. That is my base case, okay? But as always, I reserve the right to be wrong and change my stance if the market proves me wrong or invalidates my idea. How long does a weekly cycle last? About 6 months, give or take a bit. But we're looking for, keep in mind, a left translated weekly cycle, which means the peak will occur to the left-hand side of the midpoint, which means before the 3-month mark, which kind of tells me around Christmas time or before, November, December, somewhere in there, is probably where I'd expect to be taking some serious chips off the table. And this €50 is crazy, right? Brother. Thank you very much. Sorry to bother you about alts again. No, it's fine. Final question. If XRP retraces, it should not go down the last daily cycle. Oops. Also, if Bob Lucas is right, when will we know for sure? If Bitcoin makes a new low, as Lucas says, where would it be realistic for XRP to bottom? All right, let's try and deal with this. So we'll do Bitcoin first. How much time we got before CPI? We've got 50 minutes, that's fine. Okay, so if what happens here is Bob's count is correct, then what this means is this was the daily cycle low in here. Okay, we are currently on something like day 40, which means we would be looking for a bottom in Bitcoin sometime around day 60, which would be around the start of October, right? The 1st, the 2nd, something like that. So that's where we'd be looking for Bitcoin to bottom, and it would look probably something like this, below this low. Now, how low it goes is anyone's guess, okay? Something like this would not surprise me. Just enough to stop people out, right? Like me that got lucky here, or something like this. That would not surprise me at all into the 1st of October, and then we'd be looking for that rip to new highs and that left translated weekly cycle, as I said. Like a good couple of months of upside into the end of the year, and then the ultimate top. That's what the cycles would be suggesting. And then the question, of course, is what happens to XRP if that's the case? Well, it seems to me that it's only reasonable to assume, if that's true, then we would get something like this play out, right? Same deal, a new lower low. We would probably take out that cycle low, I would think, right into maybe the 1st of October, around the same time. And then either they go together, or probably more likely than that, is it kind of chops around a bit longer, right? And then goes all in one go right at the end. I think that's normally how XRP behaves, right? Like Bitcoin tops and trades sideways and down. And whilst it does that, XRP blasts off into the stratosphere. So that's what I'd be thinking happens. But either way, it kind of tells me that, you know, we're late enough in those major 4-year cycles that if these things are going to start to go, they should start to go pretty soon, right? So I hope that answers your question. Thank you again for the huge donation. If it doesn't answer your question, let me know. And I'll do what I can. Thank you, Papsy. Does Roblox look like a good trade setup? I don't know. Roblox. I would not chase this here. It's a pretty big move, right? It's a pretty big move. And it's probably susceptible to some kind of breakdown in here soon. Also, swing failure pivot, or swing pivot failure, right? It kind of looks like that. Probably got to have a shakeout first. I don't know. I'm sorry I can't be more helpful. It's not something that excites me. I would much rather be a buyer here on the range break, yeah? So, to each their own, I guess. 64k next bottom, maybe, yeah. It really depends on, and it's a dynamic price, it's a dynamic floor price, but it really depends on where like the average cost to mine a Bitcoin sits. That tends to be a very good predictor. But we'll talk about that. Let's find the top first, right? We got to sell first, right? That's actually a lot harder than people realize. Crazy how much more profitable of a trader you're doing now. Less trades on longer time frames of following Camel Daily. Well done, brother. Well done. Thank you, Robert. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's a huge edge that retail has, is the ability to play the daily time frame, to set and forget and let the thing run. Because too many people want to get in and out multiple times a day on the intraday price action. And number one, that takes a great deal more discipline and a much higher degree of knowledge, because you have to understand liquidity levels and be at a computer all day and in and out and shake it all about. People can do it, right? Kimazabi is very, very good at it. Very, very talented. But if you're not going to be that kind of trader, then this is for everyone, right? Anyone can say, oh, there's a breakout, add the long position, size it appropriately, manage the risk, set the stop, and then go back to your day job or go back to your family or go back and live life, right? Go on the beach, come back many months later, and it's either stopped you out, which big deal because you manage risk, or it's in nice profit, and then we can start to draw some silly trend lines and sell when they break, right? So this is available to everyone, and it's very, very powerful. And the other thing is, I think people don't appreciate this enough. There's two things, actually. The first thing is, when you are intraday trading, you're fighting against like ultra high frequency trading bots, billion-dollar bots, billion-dollar algos, right? They can see all your stop losses and they'll hunt you and all this other stuff. It's very, very difficult, right? You have to have an understanding of how that stuff works so that you can get in between it. Whereas on the daily time frame, you just take a position and sit back, right? And it doesn't matter what happens intraday because we're not tape slaves, right? We can just sit back and let the market breathe. And again, you're either out or you're not, right? The other thing is, I can never find this chart when I need it. But this to me is like such a game changer. Stock market gains intraday versus overnight. I wonder if we can find it like that. Yeah, okay, got it straight away. Look at this. This is the single biggest piece of alpha I think I've ever seen in my life, right? This is the cumulative returns in percentage intraday, right? In blue. Look at this. It's flat, right? Absolutely flat. Versus overnight gains, right? Look at this. Huge. So what does this tell you? Or at least how do I interpret this? I interpret this as saying that intraday traders are fighting over this when really the market is flat in the middle of the day. And it's overnight when you wake up the following day and the stock has moved higher, right? And then you wake up the following day and it's gapped up again, right? And it backfills the gap, and then the following day it gaps up again, right? This is where the Camel Crew on the daily time frame is capturing the market. And day traders are in here. Now, you know how much skill you have to be able to take money from a market that's flat like this, right? Like, this is playing the game on expert mode. And this is kind of like, again, it speaks to that bell curve I was talking about right at the beginning of the stream, right? This is like as left curve as it gets. It's just, I go to sleep and I wake up and the market should be higher, right? And then really all your job is to just manage the risk, right? And not over leverage and not get too cocky and think that you know what you're doing or anything, and just be humble and one day at a time and all that kind of stuff I just preach over and over again. But I mean, really think about the implications of this chart, right? Especially if you're a day trader that doesn't want to trade swing trades or a daily time frame. Like, think about this as hard as you possibly can. Okay. How are we doing for time? 22. Cool. What are your views on rotating some gains in from the Bitcoin into mining stocks? That's not for me. I think it's too late for that. But you do you. Also, they might top at the same time. And in the case of MicroStrategy, I think it's probably topped first at the moment. Certainly looks like it. I mean, it can change, right? It's a market, anything can happen. But this looks to me like it's topped already. And I mean, imagine how sad you'd feel if you locked down like a 10x on Bitcoin and then rotated it into this, only to see this come next. Like, I mean, that's pretty bad. And then you still have to pay the tax on the Bitcoin gains, right? So, I don't know. It's not for me. That doesn't mean it's right in what I'm saying. It's just not for me personally. Buy or sell CPI. We don't trade CPI, brother. We don't get suckered into the chop games and the volatility. Some time ago, you think I had a chart which showed UK housing prices. What was the ticker? Someone will be able to know that. I know it's the US one. US average home price. Yeah, and so I think 3 angles. Or is that 4? Yeah, 3. So I think if you change US to GB, then you get a similar one. United Kingdom average house price. And there might be another ticker. If anyone knows the other ticker, can you please put it in the comments for Nav here? FFS Camel October 1st. What do you mean? I'm not sure I get it. Bob's counter alignments with the worm. What worm? What do I not know about? For goodness sake. You deserve more than the 50. Thanks, Papsy. I appreciate it. I think I already said thanks for that as well. 1,500 watching. We actually got 1,500 in it. That's pretty crazy. That is pretty crazy. 6 minutes out as well. I'm going to rotate 50-50 into stables and PAGs. Okay. Did you manage to keep off the SIGs? Yes, I did. I quit the day my son was born. And I think he's about 5 weeks now. And I haven't touched one since. In hindsight, I should have quit before he arrived, because it's a pretty psycho experience withdrawing whilst you're in hospital. And it was a 23-hour labor. Yeah. I was fighting some demons. I was fighting some mental demons, but yeah, it was okay, really. It was fine. I do kind of miss them. Only after, like, go to the pub, get lunch, have a dessert with a wife. And then I'm like, a cigarette right now would be Marv. But other than that, it's pretty easy, really. I haven't drunk either. Since I quit drinking like 2 weeks before he came as well. So, I don't know, super healthy, right? That's what they say. I don't know if it feels any healthier, to be honest, but it is what it is. What would be the warning signs if Bitcoin were to evolve into an 8-year cycle? I don't know. I mean, it's not really even a 4-year cycle, is it? Technically, it's a few months shy of a. We call it the 4-year cycle, but it's actually not. It's the 44 or 45 month cycle, which is slightly shy. If gold goes 50k, do you think tokenized gold? Like, I don't trust any of the blockchain, like Tether Gold or Pax Gold. I don't trust any of them just because they've got all the same counterparty risk as the ETFs. And a bunch of additional risks, right? Like depeg, like hacking, like losing your cold storage seed. This is all this other thing, like exchange risk if you're going to keep it on exchanges. Government seize and freeze, right? That's another risk that probably doesn't exist in terms of the ETFs. I mean, it's always possible, but they've been regulated and there for a long time. So I don't know. It just seems like you probably be able to get the same type of exposure using an ETF and have slightly less things that could possibly go wrong. But that's, I don't know. Everything's trade-offs, right? Everything's trade-offs. How do I see the USD compared to the euro? USD kind of stuck, isn't it? I think what we're going to get is a fake breakdown of this huge trend line. If I put this on a weekly time frame so you can see, hide this. Yeah. Oops. So I think what we're going to get is a fake breakdown here, and then a big pop as deflation sets in for next year. But we'll see. We'll see. Do you know what I was also entertaining the idea of as well? Because I can't really reconcile this, right? Let's say we get a breakdown here, okay, and then I'm right, and we go deflation. Does it form a lower high? That doesn't seem like enough of a Dixie bid to call it deflation. So then would it be this for the 3-year cycle low? And then you get like a failed cycle and a head and shoulder. Like this doesn't look like a normal cycle would look, which makes me wonder if we are going to invert the 3-year cycle low soon. And about a year and a half into this 3-year cycle, we get a fake breakdown, which is very typical behavior if you think about it. Fake trendline breakdown into a major cycle low. And then we go deflation and we get this Dixie like well above 120. Which is what you'd expect in deflation, which of course means the euro relative to the dollar is cooked during this time period. It means this would actually be a 1.5-year cycle low, but we'd reset counting from there. And then the chart wouldn't look so broken. So I don't know if that's what's coming. I don't know if I'm just flat wrong about my dollar read at the moment. It's also possible this is maybe in the wrong place, this one, and that's why it's a bit janky. Yeah, I'm not sure. But I think at the moment, my best guess is that we're about to invert the 3-year cycle and then go deflation. Time will tell. Lucky I don't trade the dollar, isn't it? Or the Dixie. Otherwise, I'd have no money. When JISA series? Well, I've gotten as far as the account is set up and it's got the money in it. I just need to make a video. I'm gonna try. I was hoping to do it today, but I haven't really gotten around to it yet. I might go for a dog walk and then try and do it later. It's coming soon. Let's say within the next 7 days. I hope to have the first JISA video uploaded. Will you let us know the day I sell gold? Yes, of course. I will always notify level 3 members in real time via the post tab. You need to quit smoking as well. Thanks for the inspiration. Perhaps if it helps, right, here's how I framed it. I said to myself, are you going to allow this silly little white cigarette, silly little thing to rule your life? Like, or are you mentally strong enough to just throw this thing on the floor and never look back? Because a lot of people, I think, they give power to this silly little thing, but it's actually not that hard. If you just wake up tomorrow and don't smoke, then you probably won't even really need a cigarette until the evening. By then you can have an early night, right? The next day you woke up, you're already halfway through, right? And then you just got to push through day 2. By day 3, practically all of the withdrawal is actually gone. And all that's left is psychological kind of habit. But in terms of physiological withdrawal, like that's all pretty much gone by day 3. So, and the first day you can get through without even really needing to. You just, as long as you get rid of the cigarettes. Like, I think the biggest mistake people make is they wake up in the morning and they're like, I'll just have one cig and then I'll try and get to dinner time. But I always found that if you have one, like, it just ignites that like hunger, that craving so fast. So yeah, man, you can do it, right? Like, are you a man or a mouse? Like, your brain is definitely powerful enough to just say, I'm not going to be beaten by a cigarette. It's really a choice thing, right? So I wish you the best of luck, man. I know it's really hard. I know it's hard, but you can do it, right? Right, let's see. Oh, should we use the camel indicator? Boom, where is it? CPI 2.7. Is that what we got? Or is it not released yet? Yeah, it should be it. So 2.7, same. That's even below forecast, right? Where is it? Where's the rest of the data? 0.4, 0.3, 3.1. Okay. 3.1. That was 0.3, wasn't it? 0.3. This is in line with forecast, and this is what? 0.4 is slightly hot month over month. I mean, put in the comments if you believe this data. every month when we do one of these, I'm typing the numbers in, and I'm like, how do we know, right? And I know we don't care about the numbers; it's the trend we care about. But they always seem just a little bit too. There seems to be a pattern that repeats in here. Like, this is always kind of in line or slightly below. This is always slightly hot by like 0.1%, right? And these ones are always in line or like just 0.1 difference. I don't know, man. The more of these I do, the more I kind of think there's probably some chicanery going on somewhere. I'll just double check my work a minute. 2.9 before. Yeah, all right, let's post that. Boom. There we go. And I would think we're probably not going to get much of a reaction anywhere when we look. Volatility continues to come off. That's of note. Let's have a look at this. Pushing up, right? I mean, unbelievable strength here, isn't it? If we're being honest. I suspect this is going to continue to relentlessly push for a little while longer. Silver ticking green. Bitcoin still, I don't know. This is indecision, right? It looks like it really could make a push here, but it also just, I kind of want to say it would have done it by now if it was going to. And I don't know why, but my bias is really that I would just love to get this weekly cycle low in. I would love to do that. And then we could just say, okay, from the 1st of October, we've got a good 2.5, 3 months of upside here. Less than that. Let's say 2 to 2. Yeah, let's say 2 to 2.5 months of good solid upside push. And then I would have a lot of confidence, and I think it would be relatively easy to get out near the top if that's what we get. So I'd actually much rather see a new low here. I'd actually be willing to pay a stop on this short-term trade and then just enter again on a weekly cycle low. That would be my preferred look. So I'm actually cheering this thing on to roll over one final time. But I don't know. Again, like I was saying earlier, though, a couple of these big green candles and everyone will ape in here. Right. How's Bitcoin dominance doing, by the way? I haven't looked at this in a while. Hanging around. Okay. There's definitely a breakdown. Can't deny that. We'll see, right? We'll see. What next? I don't know. I don't know. You guys tell me. Will the 4-year cycle low impact the other precious metals like platinum too? Oh, I think just if I'm right about global deflationary recession, then pretty much everything is going to get slammed, right? In crashes, correlations tend to 1. And then out of a record amount of QE, again, if I'm right about that, then everything is just... Things are going to appear to go up, but really the fiat currency is going to be going down against those things, right? It's much more of a debasement trade, I think. Is Litecoin going to pump hard? PLTR, we did that in the members video. I don't think there's much change. You'll get the weekly low, 922.26. Mara or coin? I don't know, man. I don't know. Mara's not doing anything. Coin not doing anything either, right? I really wanted to go long here, but it just doesn't look like it's finished bottoming yet. I don't know what makes me say that. It just doesn't look like it. Maybe that speaks to one final dive. And then And then bottoms with Bitcoin, maybe? I don't know. But give it time. In terms of like Mara, I see people complaining about Mara and CLSK all the time. But here's a good example, right? of patience is really underrated in this game. Because we're talking about this with the members, right? Back here, I took this Bitfarms long. When was that? It's all the way back in April, right? Out of the spill after the tariff tantrum. And I took this long and I said, look, this is a nice trade, right? This is a nice trade. I'm happy with this. And it crept up for a few days, as you can see. And then it went like pretty much all the way down to the stop loss level, right? And by this point, as I was saying in yesterday's midweek members update video, quite a lot of people were quite upset with me, right? Especially because I think in this time, IREN, or I can't remember exactly what ones it was, but IREN, I think, was one of them. There was a couple of these crypto stocks that I chose not to go long, and they look like this. So a lot of the members were like, Camel, what have you done to us? Why did you tell us to get into Bitfarms here? Why didn't we buy IREN? And I was like, well, I didn't know. Like, I thought it was going to do well, right? Obviously, I wouldn't have gone long if I wasn't confident in the setup, right? I was just as surprised as everyone else to see this thing chop around. And in here, there was lots of people saying, oh, I don't know, this feels like opportunity cost. This feels like we should have moved the stop around. We should have maybe cut this trade before it hit the stop loss. Or, like, people were kind of, you know, saying a bunch of stuff instead of just embracing the philosophy of the channel, which is like set the long position, set the stop loss, manage the risk, and then you can go on holiday, right? And as I was saying earlier, you're either out or it moves into profit. Anyway, all this time later, in 2 or 3 candles, it's shot up like, 50 odd % now in 2 or 3 candles. And all of a sudden, everyone's jumping up and down and going, hey, Bitfarms, let's go, let's go. But this is just how it works, right? Things don't always move in your direction immediately, right? The stop is the stop for a reason. The invalidation is the invalidation for a reason. And if it's not hit, then we have no business grabbing this stop and moving it around or trying to second guess or, when it's moving down, we have no business saying, well, it looks like it's going to stop me out, so I should probably just, terminate my own trade, right? Why would we terminate the trade before invalidation is hit? It doesn't make sense. And I'm just saying this to kind of illustrate that, again, our brains are wired to make us suck at trading, like everything that seems normal, reasonable, rational, I can't speak, rational and intuitive, right? It actually just makes you worse and worse and worse at trading. It's actually as crazy as it sounds. Like, a lot of people would be better setting the trade and then just not looking. Come back in 3 months' time, right? Hut is another one that is a really good example of this, and I use this all the time when I'm talking to the members. Okay, what did I just do? Back here, we'll zoom in a bit, right? Look at this. Take the long, it moves up, and this might not look like much, but this is like a 50% pop in a few days, right? And in here, people are going, oh, should we move the stop up? I want to choke the stop up. Blah, blah, blah. It comes all the way back down here, slips into negative for a second, right? For a day or two. And the members are going to me, Camel, what the hell, bro? Like, we had 50%. I should have nailed it down. Like, I should have blah, blah, blah. But if you move the stop up, right, as it's sort of doing this, you're out the trade. And then again, like, it pumps and people go, oh, maybe we should move the stop around. Well, you would have got taken out the trade unnecessarily, right? In here, people are like, oh, it's not gonna go again. It's not gonna go again. But the only way you sit in these trades and allow them to kind of push to these ridiculous and absurd heights is you have to be, number one, willing to give back open profit in exchange for staying on trend. But number two, you also have to be willing to have a thesis and stick to it, right? Here's my entry, here's my stop, the risk is managed. So does it matter, right? If it's chopping around? No. Did I ever at the start of my trade thesis say to myself, if the price moves up, then I'm going to move my stop around? No, I never said that, right? So, the set and forget is extremely powerful, and it just illustrates that we're always our own worst enemies, right? We always want to say, well, it's moving down, so it's going to stop me out, and so therefore I should cut this trade manually. I've been getting it about Bitcoin, right? I was saying in here, there's one of 2 counts, and one of them is that we make a new lower low into a weekly cycle. Okay? And a lot of the members were saying to me again, Camel, if you think that's a base case, or if you think this is likely, why not just cut the trade now? Why not just cut the trade now, and we'll re-enter when the cycle low shows up? And the answer is simple, right? When we took the trade, the idea was not to start getting in the way of it, right? This is the invalidation for a reason. The stop is the stop for a reason. And for all we know, okay, instead of do that secondary count, this is what comes next. So I don't want to go getting in the way of my own trade setup, right? The invalidation is the invalidation. And for all we know, it prints a higher low above this one from back here, okay? And then it rockets off. And do I want to be cutting the trade and hoping I can spot this and get back in, or hoping that it's not a timing-based low? No, of course not. So sorry to rant at you. It's not really a rant. I'm just kind of sharing my experience and the reason I don't get in front of my own trades and that kind of thing, right? But I do think it's very powerful. If you can set the trade, leave the stop, and then just let it do what it's going to do, you will probably find that your performance goes up massively. My voice is getting tired, which means we're over the hour mark. My neck is sore as well. Okay, I'll read a few more comments and then I think we'll get out of here. But I think we've pretty much covered it, right? Stock market is extremely strong. Gold, everyone wants a dip, but probably no one's going to get one. Bitcoin's got 2 counts and we'll figure it out soon enough. Crypto stocks taking it in turns to rip. The ones that haven't, just be patient. They probably will, right? As per the Hut and the Bitfarms example. And that is pretty much all there is to it. VIX is still sort of compressing, isn't it? Still on its way down to sub 12, hopefully. So we'll see about that in due course. And the CPI is kind of, you know, baked into the cake. I wonder if these will have changed. Probably not really, I would think. I mean, we ticked up slightly on the right-hand side. So the people that were saying, well, deflationary PPI, guaranteed 1% cut or guaranteed 50 bips or whatever. I mean, once again, tell that to the bond market, right? You don't need any skill. You just need a little bit of knowledge, all right? If it's above 85, tick it off. That's what's happening. So that's cool. Pelosi's buying strategy? Well, maybe that means there's a new high coming. She is, after all, the greatest trader of all time. Any chance we get a timing-based weekly low? Yeah, that's a possibility, and that's why I don't want to get in front of my own trade and start cutting it prematurely or whatever. You like the indicator plus order block to find a near perfect low. Nice. I see lots and lots of people using it in different ways, which is really cool. Traveler Jeff in the house. CRV would be interesting. I know there's a bunch of people that are really into that, but every time I pull this chart up, it looks it looks worse and worse. Curved out, yeah, that's the one you mean. Oh, okay, it's making some pumps, but it's still just a big range, isn't it? You know, it could be accumulation before markup, or not. Right, that's the horrible thing, is that it can do this indefinitely. I guess if you bought the lows, that's probably pretty decent returns. Oh, I thought it was more than that. I mean, it's not to be sneezed at, but you know, it's not going to change your life either, I wouldn't have thought. I guess everyone is hoping that what happens is kind of like this. I'm guessing that's what people are here for, right? Maybe this is coming. I have no idea, to be honest. Like, it still kind of amazes me that I've been so clearly uninformed and uneducated on altcoins and quite often wrong in my assessment. The only thing I really got right was that Bitcoin dominance would make it up as high as it did, and that breadth would be thin. But breadth being thin could easily be invalidated into the end of the year. So I'm not even sure why most of you want my opinion on these things. I actually don't have any value to add, I don't think, when it comes to altcoins. I think some of you just like to see me kind of dog on them, which is fine. But unfortunately, yeah, I can't really give you anything of value here. I haven't seen Buffett's warnings. We've done gold to death. Gold tends to bottom before the stock market after a crash. Yeah, gold bottoms first and fastest. But I think it's got to go for a whopping great correction in terms of time. I don't know. Let's not spitball about something that's a year or more away. If you know, now finally Riot, it seems like they know what's up. Yeah, I agree, Master. I agree. Crackpipe theories around. Oh, I'm staying away from that, to be honest. Main stage. I don't really even know who he is, to be completely honest with you. Like, I kind of recognized him from clips on the internet, but I'm not qualified or informed enough to have an opinion there. Bit Digital seems to be pushing up. Yeah, they're going to take it in turns to rip, man. Our time is finally here, right? Our time is here. We've been cheering this on for a long time, and now it's finally time. And it's not been all bad, right? Especially the longer time members will know, like, other pumps were caught along the way. It's not like, you know, we bought some core allocation, we made a few trades, had to duck out, made a few trades, had to duck out, you know, added more in the long-term accounts on the spill, added more trades at the hard right edge, and now we're finally getting paid, right? But it's not like all of this was just for nothing. There was plenty of gains extracted along the way as well. So really now, though, the focus is like sit back, let the market do what it's going to do. I keep repeating myself, but it's so important, right? Like I've drawn my preemptive third angle. You know, this is what I want to happen. I want this big third push, and then I want to sell the whole lot up here and not look back. And hopefully we get a repeat of this, right? Hopefully. But well, I don't know. We'll find out. Do you think the first one to top is IREN? Yes, because it's leading on the way up. Leaders lead and laggards lag, remember? Looked at CRV, done that. How low will it bottom GDX? I don't know. No way of knowing. Do you do trading for a living? Yes, of course, brother. It sounds like I'm smoking. I probably just damaged my lungs from smoking for I don't even know how many years. Over half my life. What do you think about new housing tax? Don't know about that, actually. Don't know about that. I'm very isolated in my pockets of knowledge, as you can see. I know almost everything about cycle trading and almost nothing about anything else. What is this new housing tax, dare I ask? New housing tax. An end to stamp duty. Oh, and a new property tax. Oh my gosh. What is this? They bringing in like... I don't even want to read this, man. What does that mean? What, like annually? I can't pay any more tax, man. Not anymore. Please. Don't make me move to like Saudi Arabia or something. Well, thanks for ruining my day, whoever that was. Jack, man. Thank you. Oh dear. Thanks for the live. Thanks, Natalie. Yeah, I think it's my cue to leave, really. 50 bips is not in the cards at the moment. No. Thank you, Ben. What else we got? Isn't this typical stagflation? No, it's not. Not stagflation, not even close, not yet. Tau chart. We already did the Tau chart, brother. And what is the cycle low target for platinum in 26? I don't know in terms of numbers. And are you planning to sell? Yeah, I'm planning to sell. Let's do that last one first. I'm planning to sell somewhere between 2028 and 2032. And that's all metals of all types. And because that's when I believe the major, like 8-year cycle, the second one, will have topped. And then as for platinum, let's do that first. I think that'll be easiest. Like, where does it go in the 4-year cycle? I don't know. I reckon it probably gives back most of this move, if not all of it, and then goes. That's what I would think. And what was the other question? Tau. I'm sure we did Tau earlier. And I'm sure I did this and basically said there's a cycle low and I can't really be much much more help than that. But it is confirmed with this trend line break here, right? So that's something. At least you can structure a trade around this. Thanks, Potato Man. I love you too. Thoughts on UK economy next few years? Same as everywhere else, brother. 10-year went below 4. Oh, let's go. Yeah, tell that to the bond market. Thoughts on, I don't know. Basically a top-up council tax. Oh, great. Why not, right? I already have to give away most of my money. Why not? Why not give away the rest of it? Yeah, UK's pretty cooked. Can't deny that. Never too late. I mean, it is getting like I'm actually going to speak to my accountant about buying some place abroad and trying to figure that out because it's just getting worse and worse. It is getting really difficult. Yeah. Time to move to another country. I know, I just don't want to leave my family. I actually really like where I live as well. Like, I really do. I know a lot of the UK is like a real horrible place to be, but I live in the middle of nowhere and there's very little crime, and I like the slow pace of life, and the countryside and the beaches. They're all pretty close by and they're all at my disposal, and I've lived here long enough to know where all the local pockets of quietness are, so if I want to be alone or out the way, I can be. Even when the like tourists come down, during the holiday season, they go to the main places, and I have a handful of other places that they don't know about. So, I live a very peaceful, quiet, sheltered life now, which is really, really nice. I'm super grateful for, and I don't really want to leave. It just feels a bit mean. Like, why have I got to move my family to some foreign country just so I don't have all my money stolen, right? Like, really, I think that they should just stop taking so much of my money. Like that's the real problem. Like, it feels a bit silly to say, well, I got to move, but there might be a way that I can maybe like buy an office somewhere and then route the business through there and play it. I don't know, man. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. Adding taxes on houses. Have you noticed how cycles in history just repeat over and over again? Ben, my business partner that does the indicator, was telling me about this, that like back in the Henry VIII time in England, they were taxing property based on windows. Like if you had windows, you had to pay a window tax, and like they just always find ways to be like, oh, you've got money, like we'll have some of that, please. Like they just always find different ways to do it. And I always kind of suspected as well they'll do it with pensions, because in the UK you don't have to pay tax if you put the money into a pension, so it like goes in tax free, and they tax it on the way out. And I always wondered if like that tax would just eventually become an enormous amount. I think it already is pretty enormous. I think it's already like in line with income tax, so you could pay 50% on your pension when you withdraw it if you want more than 50k a year, which is it's like I don't know. One of you guys always manages to like rage bait me into basically crying about tax every single live stream, bro. Every single live stream. All right, Papsy, thanks. If you're talking to me, you got a business in Bulgaria. Oh, Nasco might be able to help me with that as well. Okay, I'll think about this. Yeah, I don't know. I'll speak to my accountant. I'm sure he'll be able to figure it out. 10% tax. That sounds more like it. That sounds a lot more like it, doesn't it? Non-dom camel, yeah. Do you ever fear for your safety while discussing the topics you do? Nah, bro. Joke's on them. I want to leave Earth. Come and get me. I don't care. Chart on screen now looks like a camel. Yep, double hump daddy, right? Like this. Well, this is the value we're adding now. This is the alpha you come to Camel Finance for, right? You don't have to live there either. Okay, that's going on my notes for things to look into. Thank you, Papsy. Update on GameStop. Yeah, I don't know about the fundamentals, bro. I don't know. I don't care about fundamentals. I mean, breakout, retest, backfill the gap and go. I don't know. Can't really say much about that, can we? It's not very good. What are the chances of rate cut now? No, they're the same, aren't they? They're the same. Window tax. Yeah. No, my accountant's pretty good. My accountant's pretty good. He charges me almost nothing. He does save me a fortune. But it really depends. Like it's actually a lot harder than you might think. But no tax if you're dead. Actually, there is. It's called inheritance tax, right? Someone else got to pay it. That's all. Habibi come to Dubai. Yeah, maybe. The thing is, though, like I know Saudi Arabia and Dubai is like a weird extreme. But like, fine, they have no tax, but they also have this kind of government that could just tap you on the shoulder and throw you into a jail torture you for no reason. Like, you don't really have human rights over there. Like, you actually don't. And it's also, like, not really the nicest place to live if you're not into, like, hedonism, right? Like, like, the whole way they build their buildings, I'll let you guys research that if you don't know. I don't really want to mention it, but yeah, like, the way they've gotten some of their construction done is extremely questionable, given that they're supposed to be, you know, of moral standing and this kind of thing. So, I don't know, man. Like, everywhere's got its problems, right? This is why I like to stay where I am. I just like to live in the country and do me and kind of tune everything else out. But just ignored me. Sorry, did I? Could I check bio, please? Curious what your take is on this coin. I've never heard of it, man. Health and DeFi. You're talking to you're talking to the wrong guy about health, brother. Oh dear. Cost of living was also higher. Yeah, and like, this is, I don't know, man. This is a weird vibe about it, right? Like, a man-made city is kind of weird. To each their own, right? To each their own. Isle of Man, yeah, that's another one. Yeah, you say you would rather pay 50% than move to Dubai. That's exactly where I'm at, right? I don't want to, I know I would never see my family again, really. I just wouldn't. So it's like, I pay 50% really to see my family. That's kind of how I see it. I don't actually pay 50%. I do pay less than 50, but it's just a pain, you know. Like, the thing is, you pay 50% if you want to spend it, right? And then if I don't want to spend it and I just want to get richer on paper, then I can pay like as little as 18 or 20 something %. I can pay that, but in terms of paying that little tax and having the money to buy things, you can't do it, right? I can only not pay tax if I'm building paper wealth. As soon as I decide, like, oh, actually, I want to buy a car, I want to buy a house, I want to go on holiday, as soon as you decide you want to access the money, then all of a sudden you have to pay like loads and loads of tax. And that's just kind of like, it's like, what's the point of having money if you can't spend it, right? It's just, I don't know, man. You guys have really got to stop rage baiting me into getting upset about tax as well. Like, I was having a good day today, right? I'm about to go on another dog walk. You guys are making me upset. Sumball, we're just leaving, brother. I'm sorry. We have talked about absolutely everything today. So I'm going to love you guys and leave you. I really appreciate you all being here. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come and see this. If you have just tuned in, go back and watch it on replay. We really did cover pretty much everything you'd expect me to cover and some more. So in the meantime, thank you once again for being here. Can't run from taxes. Yep, true. Please stop rage baiting me into taxes in future live streams. And have a fantastic rest of the week. I'll be back tomorrow with more daily content as always. And until then, lots of love from me. Cheers.